Ralph Bat, Moisar. We are back. Okay, we are back. We are back. We're back with more Wu-Sabat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Kabul, Kabul, Kabul means welcome. Moisar, welcome family. Welcome YouTube. Welcome to all. We thank everyone for taking the time out to check us out. Our job is to teach and promote and push the culture of Wu-Sabat. As usual, today is September the 30th, 2025, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our discussions live, open forum for all those who want to participate in the culture of Wu-Sabat. Our goal is to restore the divine mind of our people, the woolly-haired, melanated people on the planet Earth. We've lost our way. And it's now been 6,000 years. We've lost our way. But the good news is that we're in a new cycle, the sun cycle, the restoration cycle, for us to restore ourselves back to our divinity, back to our pristine state as children of the Nathar, our ancestors, as the people of the sun. We've forgotten our own origins. And so our job as students of Nuwaupu, students of Wu-Sabat, is to painstakingly re-educate our people about our original culture, because within the last 6,000 years, we've become so many things on the planet, and all it has done is divide us. That's all it's ever done. And have not put us in a position of power and strength as we used to be. And the only way we're going to get back to that position of power and strength is to get back to our original way of life, which is being in harmony and connection with the forces of nature, which gave us the knowledge, intellect, and wisdom for us to build those magnificent monuments you see in ancient Kemet, ancient Nubia. And as the master teacher said, we built actual cities in Antarctica that's being covered by the ice. So we come from a very advanced society, and we've literally forgotten all that knowledge. And so the purpose of Wu-Sabat is to restore that ancient knowledge, to bring us back to power. And so, me as a student of Wu-Sabat, a student of the master teacher, my job is to do my part. To educate. Your job is to listen and hopefully embody this information, and you too become a soldier in this great war of Armageddon, the war between the righteous versus the unrighteous, so that we can be restored back to our pristine purity and power as a people for all woolly hair, melanated people on the planet. That's what this is all about. Now, for those who do not know me, my name is Peti Sina Tebtu Re'e, and I've been over 36 years now, student teacher of this profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Pan Nabab Yananan, also known as Dr. Malika Zikayok, who has been teaching us this ancient culture called Wu-Sabat, also known as Wu-Nuwaup, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, and based on the wisdom of the Hutri. In essence, as I've been saying, our culture was about being in harmony with natural nature, living with the forces of nature, being in tune with those forces. And we had great powers when we were. But now we've lost all of that. And now the only thing we're in tune with, as I like to say all the time, Netflix and BMWs and rap videos and twerking and all of the things that's been destroying us, the toxic food that we eat, the pimping and hoeing that we're doing, everything that actually destroys us. And so if you want to change your ways, you have to change your mind. If you want to change your ways, you must change your mind. The only reason why we behave the way we behave today is because of the way we think. And if we want to change our behavior, we have to change how we think. And in order to change how our people think, they have to be properly educated. We are allowing our adversaries to educate us, and it's been going on for specifically 500 years of false miseducation, which has led us to the conditions that we're in today. So today we're talking about, do Nuwaupians understand the purpose and power of culture? Do Nuwaupians understand the purpose and power of culture? That's what today's discussion is all about. Culture is everything. And I've been trying so hard, throughout these years in my discussions to drill this point in. Culture is everything, family. This is the greatness of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, restoring our original ancient culture. All power is rooted in culture, and that's something we have not been able to comprehend as a people. Our people have adopted all kinds of cultures, and all that it's ever done was divide us. And that division has been the source of all of the conflict, war, and chaos that we see on the continent. We see here in America. We see it all over the world when it comes to our people. Culture divides us. All of these different cultures that are not our original culture. Our original culture, one that we used to know, must be based on your genetics. We have a genetic culture, because culture is what? Your way of life, how you do things from day to day. We used to know you have to do things according to your genetics. Like every species in nature live according to their genetic makeup. That's what connects you and keeps you in harmony with nature. Now we just make up cultures and we call ourselves all of these things, or we adopt cultures from foreigners, whether it be Christians, or we're Muslims now, or we're Moors, or we're Hebrew Israelites, or we're what, 5%ers, we're Crips, we're Bloods, we're all these different tribal cultures we developed into the Dogon and the Yoruba and the Ashanti and the Twa and the Sands and the Maasai and the Limba and the Lu. These are all different cultures, and all it's done is divide us and divide us and divide us. And what did we get for it? Being conquered. Because those who understand how to manipulate people, our adversary, the children of Leviathan, use one group, one cultural group, or they call ethnic group, against another. And once they've used that group to conquer or subdue the other, then they turned around and subdued them. Conquering the people one-on-one, as they say. Culture is key, and our people are so mentally gone, they can't comprehend it. So for all of you who taking the time out to check out these lectures, listen, we don't need a lot of us to get this, that make a difference. What are we getting? 200-300 views, 400 views on our lectures? All we need is 20 of you guys who are dedicated. 20 dedicated hardcore students. That's why I did my project on the internet, which is the nuwaupian.com. Creating this website and designed to, one, we need our own social media platform. I don't know why we don't comprehend that. We really should comprehend that, especially as students of Wu-Sabat, Nuwaupians. We need our own social media platform. One, because we're censored on their systems. So that's one reason why we should have our own social media platform. Next, what they're doing, they're not only censoring what we can say and what we can promote, but they're pushing mass propaganda through theirs. And so our people are subjected to that. We need an outlet to be able to promote our ideas and concepts to the globe. That's what makes social media so powerful. Because we're now connected to the whole planet. We've never had those abilities before. But I mean, we don't get it. We don't. I've been talking about this really since 2007 when I came up with the concept, and first website literally we did in 2007. Then I changed. It used to be Nuwaupu.com. Then we went to Nuwaupu.org, and I did that in 2011. And it's not cheap trying to have a website. It's thousands of dollars. And I don't get the support because our people don't understand it. We really don't comprehend it. We really don't comprehend the pie. I mean, I don't know why you're on social media all the time, all day, every day. You don't realize that's the battleground right now, social media. That's literally the new gold. The gold rush is controlling social media. Why do you think Elon Musk bought X? What do you think? Why do you think Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook? That stuff is, first of all, was sponsored by the intelligence organizations, the CIA and them. This is huge, and we don't get it. We don't get it. We're on their systems, and we don't realize how important, especially for someone like me, a Nuwaupian who has right knowledge, not just getting with any Negro who thinks like the Mukasu set up social media. That does us no good. We need someone who has the consciousness of how to utilize it for our benefit. But in order to have a media platform really develop, you're talking about millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars. So we have to develop a serious marketing campaign or strategies in order to get our people on board. This is why our platform has to be fee-based. Why I say it's, first of all, it's $20 a year, $19.99. So it's no money. It's the where we develop the income is the amount of people. We get 100,000 people on here. Imagine getting 1 million people. Didn't you realize how many people on Facebook? Then they're 1 billion. I don't know. Insane numbers. And I'm not talking about us having nowhere near those numbers. But if we was able to get 1 million people on here, because one of the goals, what we want to do with this platform is then use the money to finance our own cultural reference encyclopedia. Don't you understand how powerful if we can create our own encyclopedia? Because their encyclopedias are nothing but based on racism, white supremacy, false information, even the new AI crap that they have on Google, that's nothing but white supremacy itself. It's false information. You type in stuff pertaining to us, you're still getting misinformation. And it's messing up the minds and consciousness of our people. But we don't, but in order for us to get this, our consciousness has to increase. We have our consciousness, we don't get it. It's sad, especially as adults. And as Nuwaupians, we should understand it. Where's our reasonability? That's what it means to be a Nuwaupian. You're supposed to have reasonability. You're supposed to figure this out yourself. You don't need me promoting it to you. Y'all should be able to see it. And we can't. We can't. So I'll continue to do these lectures and try my best to help elevate your consciousness. Because if you can't see the value in this and promoting it to your friends and promote it to your family and explain it to them why they should support this, that's that mental block. And because our people keep worrying about somebody stealing your money, Umar's stealing our money for the schools, this one's still, white people steal your money every single day, but we got time to be worrying about Negroes taking pennies from us. Mukasa is taking billions from us every year. I don't see no YouTube exposing the money we spend in taxes that white people use to attack us, or the money we spend on the school system where they feed our children white supremacy education. I don't see no YouTubes on that. But we always attacking some black person. This person's scamming. That person's scamming. We're sick-minded people right now. It's that negative Negro mind, as the master kept talking about, that we suffer from. We're worrying about all the wrong things. It's irrelevant whether some Negro scammed you when you compare it to the fact that the Mukasu scams us every single day. Insane amounts of money through the gas. You don't realize why the money you spend on gas, if you have a car, that you're overpaying for gas at $3 a gallon, $4 a gallon, depending on where you live. You don't realize that's not really what gas shit costs. Technically, they can sell you gas at like 79 cents a gallon and still be rich. But they're not doing that. So you're constantly being scammed and taken advantage of economically by the Mukasu, but yet I see zero YouTube channels and complaints about how they're robbing us every single day. Not to mention what you're paying for rent or mortgage or the interest rate they charge you. We can go on and on. The poison food you're buying in the grocery markets. We're making no complaints about that, but we had time to be talking about some Negro scamming them. We're sick people. It's sad. But our job, my job as a student of the master teacher, is to raise our consciousness so we can rise above that kind of low kind of thinking. And that's what we want to get into with today's discussion, right? Do Nuwaupians understand the purpose and power of culture? Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, no, we don't. Unfortunately, we don't. We should, but we don't right now, you know? And so that's why we got to keep talking about it, because we don't get it. You hear it, the way the mind works, and now people don't realize how consciousness works, how education works. Just because you're introduced to information doesn't mean you comprehend it. You could have heard someone say something 1,000 times, and our people love saying, I know that, I know this. No, you don't, because you don't live it. We live toxic behavior. We don't live all of the knowledge that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us, even going back to Noble Drew Ali or Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was telling us we should not be supporting our ex-slave masters. We need to do for ourselves. You think our people comprehended that? And that was over 100 years ago. We didn't get it. We heard it. We heard the message, but we didn't comprehend it. Why you think the advertising agencies keep running the same commercials over and over and over and over? McDonald's been doing McDonald's commercials since they were created, because they understand the way the mind works, the psyche works. You got to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. It's the way the mind works. It shouldn't be like that, but humans are like that because of the fact that we lost our barotheric gland. With our barotheric gland, you wouldn't forget anything, and your reasonability would be high. But that's what makes a mortal, or as the Bible calls us, enocytes, forgetful creatures. As the master says, we're suffering from amnesia, so our intellect is very low, and that's why you got to constantly do this constant brainwashing, basically, of repeating, because the mind it just doesn't pick up like that. That's why you have A student, B student, C student, D student, F student in schools. Some children are able to retain things quicker than others. Some children are more aware that they know how to study to retain data. They do research. Other children, they don't. The information goes in one ear and out the other. And so that's why we see high failure rates, especially in our school systems. And they say our children are horrible when it comes to math and science. It's sad. And that's because of degradation of our genetics. It wasn't like that early on, right? That's what you heard about that. What's that movie? Hidden Figures, with those sisters, the black women who they said did the mathematics for NASA to go to the moon, supposedly. Our minds were sharper back then. But with all the poison food, they got better, and poison in the food, they got better in making poison music that messes up your consciousness. The master kept warning us about the music, about the food. It kept reducing the intellect of each generation. So the children we're producing now, our people, we don't even cook. Look at the obesity rate that we got going on in the black community. Just eating poison food, which affects your intellect, the brain synapse, the flow of the electrical flow within the brain slows down. So that reduces consciousness. So, okay, so now today's topic: do Nuwaupians understand the power and purpose of culture? Right? Question: is racism, white supremacy about cultural power? That's the question. Is racism, white supremacy about cultural power? Answer: yes. White people have been able to unite based on the religion of Christianity, claiming that they are God, and anyone who is not a Christian is a heathen that deserves either slavery, death, or all their possessions confiscated or taken. White people also base their culture on capitalism that teaches that everything in the world can be bought and sold to gain massive wealth and power, thinking that they would be able to dominate the world forever. Know that their thinking and means to power has always been about war, which is always fought based on culture of what people believe, or what someone did, or how someone feels, or most of all, what someone wants, which is always based on some kind of cultural concept, right? So this is the basis of their culture, which that's why I always talk about the doctrine of discovery. That's where it comes from, within the last 500 years, right? And so they first set up the doctrine of discovery, which was to attack all indigenous people on the planet, which is what they did. The European powers, it started with Spain and Portugal, then France got in on it, then Great Britain got in on it, the Dutch got in on it. So all the European powers were pushing, right, this Christianity, and you either took the Bible or the sword, and then they took the land. So that's how the Europeans basically colonized and dominated the planet based on this doctrine. And then the doctrine updated, right, in the Americas in the 1800s to what they call manifest destiny. Manifest destiny. Okay? And that was the Americas, the American government or empire was going to dominate the Americas, North and South America. That was because, now that America was developing, right? So they pushed out Great Britain, in 1776 to the whole independence thing. And then, Spain was still here. So they had to push out Spain. Basically, so those are the two main rivals. You had France, but Napoleon, he kind of sold with the Louisiana Purchase because he lost Haiti. That was their cash cow, and plus the French was constantly competing with Great Britain to dominate the continent, right? Because the whole Berlin Conference in the 1800s, France put all their their focus and energy into dominating the continent. That's why so many of our people on the continent speak French, like Burkina Faso and Niger and Mali, who finally broke away from France's domination. But France still got the Ivory Coast. They're influencing. Mauritania they're influencing. You know, they still have their influence on the continent. You know, so African leaders supposedly seem to be fighting back, but a lot of that I think is a lot of fluff. You know, there's some legitimate fighting back from that power and control. So again, it went from the doctrine of discovery to what we call the manifest destiny, and to after World War II started the new system they set up, that America set up with the UN, and they call that the rules-based order, where the United Nations and the Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples that they didn't follow, but this was supposedly the new rules-based order. So now they went from the doctrine of discovery from manifest destiny to after World War II, it shifted to what they call rules-based order. Really did not kick in until 1989 with the fall of the Soviet Union. And that's with George Bush Sr., who became president. Then he said, now we're in a new world order, or this rules-based order, they call it, where we make the rules and everyone else has to follow the orders. That's now fallen apart because of the rise of these other powers, such as India and China and Pakistan. And so they can't dominate the planet the way they were dominating before. This is all about culture now. European using their culture to dominate the planet. This is something we used to know, but we forgot the power of culture. This is what the master teacher's been trying to drill on us. With culture comes power. We have to comprehend that. And you can't have a foreign culture. The minute you adapt a foreigner's culture, you give them power, which is what Black Americans do in America. Our culture is a composite of European culture, which is why we speak English or we speak French. It's their culture, which is why anything we come up with, they take it. Because we're in their system. So they take the music we come up with, they take any kind of fashion we come up with, any kind of artwork we come with, they're able to confiscate whatever we produce because literally we're under their domination. We're under their cultural domination. So Google those three things. You family, I really need to study it. You need to explain it to others. The doctrine of discovery, like I said, I've talked about it numerous of times, and we got to keep doing it till you get it and you start promoting this and explaining it to our people, right? You just Google them, manifest destiny, because they'll, it's there. It's there. Our people, we just don't do no research, we just don't do. I just typed it in Google, and it says doctrine of discovery. What does it say? 15th century legal religious concept originated from the papal bulls, which is the laws of the Pope they're taught about, that justify colonization by asserting Christian nations' right to claim sovereignty and property over non-Christian lands. So if you wasn't a Christian, or white Christian that is, they had right to your land, your territory. This was them taking indigenous people's lands. Okay? Disregarding indigenous presence and rights. This doctrine, which viewed inhabited lands as terra nullius, which means unoccupied. So even though people was living there, they said they're not real people, so their land is not occupied. It says formed the legal basis for much of the colonial expansion into the Americas and other parts of the world, leading to centuries of land seizure, exploitation, and oppression of indigenous peoples, while the Vatican, the church, right, formally repudiated the doctrine in 2023, just 2 years ago, they just said, yeah, that was kind of the doctrine of discovery is not even in play no more. And that's what I said. We're in rules-based order. They just admitted they were sorry 2 years ago. Whatever. And the legacy continues to influence legal systems. You see that? Its legacy continues to influence legal systems and the understanding of indigenous rights in countries like the United States and Canada. So these concepts are embedded in European Western law, right? Again, culture, their legal system, their systems, their cultural systems. So we went from the doctrine of discovery. The next one was manifest destiny. All you gotta do is type it in, Google it. It says manifest destiny was the 19th century, 1800s, they talking about, 19th century belief that the United States was destined by God, right? Here you go, Christianity, by God, to expand its dominion and spread democracy across the North American continent. Coined by the journalist John Sullivan in 1845. The ideology fueled Western expansion through annexation and war, significantly increasing U.S. territory, but also leading to the forced displacement of Native Americans and increased tensions over slavery, right? So again, they didn't just advance in North America. They did the same thing in South America. Okay, the United States basically influenced or created puppet governments in South America. So that was something else they did. And then so we went from manifest destiny to the last thing that they got, which is rules-based order. So that's the system we're in now. Okay, rules-based. It says rules-based international order is a post-World War II framework of political, economic, and legal agreements designed to guide relations between countries, backed by multilateral institutions such as the United Nations, right, which is in the United States, the World Trade Organization, the World Bank. It was initially led by the United States and other Western powers, while its state purpose is to promote stability and peaceful cooperation. It is increasingly viewed differently depending on one's perspective in a multipolar world. What they're talking about now is as these other powers arise into power, like China and India and other, in Africa, they begin to say, listen, this is all based on European systems. And that's what the battle is about right now. That's what's going on with the Trump administration. They're trying to figure out how do they maintain rules-based order, because they're now being challenged around the globe. So keep in mind, they control the warfare and mind control, which is what they use religion for, to maintain their way of life, their culture. Again, our people, we got to understand the power of culture. You can't adapt a foreigner's culture and think you're going to have any kind of power. Our people can't comprehend that. But Nuwaupians, you're not supposed to comprehend that. But we don't. It's all right. Let's go back to where I'm at. Okay, next question. Are Nuwaupians living a culture? We would be the most powerful people on earth. Sadly, Nuwaupians, as of yet, have not been able to see or understand the power of our love and unity, which would change the world for the better. Once we, as Nuwaupians, have a clear understanding of living our culture, we will naturally come together to solve all our problems that we face. Culture is the key to liberation. or slavery, as we can see in a Black American culture that has kept us enslaved to white power, right? So culture, depending on what culture, you either have your culture or you adopt someone else's culture. And so you're basically captive to them. It's literally slavery. Whether you think, whether you can't, you know, we have to comprehend that. Let's just say that. So it says, if Black people really want equality, respect, and power, then we gain all these things by creating our own systems for us and by us. Our people in America, Black people in America, keep begging the Mukasu for equality. It doesn't work that. Why do you think Donald Trump, he just got rid of all the DEI stuff, right? DEI, diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion. We're trying to be included to be, first of all, as the master teacher has always said, why in the world would we want to be equal with them? Think about it. With all the crimes and criminal behavior of them, who in their right mind would want to be equal with the Europeans or on any level? That's not a high bar. That's why you see our behavior now in America with the pimping, the hoeing, the crimes that we do, the Black on Black violence that we do. We are being equal with them. We're being killers like them, raping like them, stealing, lying, cheating like them, attacking one another like them. So we are basically equal. When you look at it from that perspective, we don't want to be equal with them, but our people, man, we're messed up. We're messed up. That's what it is. So let's go to the master address some of these things, you know, about our culture, right? In this scroll called the 9. So let's go to that particular scroll where the master talks about culture. He says this right here. This is the 9. Where are we at? So this is page 23, just so you guys can see. I always like to show you, I like to show you the books that we're reading from. So this is called the 9. I don't know, came out about 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago by the master teacher. Okay, so 23. Get these books, family. So I'll read it because it's in, Sabae on Nuwaupian, and I'll read the Sabae because that's good for us to hear the language. Language is key. That's the basis of culture. It starts with language right there. It starts right there with our language. So I'll read it in our language, right? And then I'll translate it, in English. Simple. Okay, so we'll do that. All right, so it says Tim Zaded translates not before, right? Tim Zaded, not before. So we translate. Aye mumrah Nuwaupu rakhuk panen. My beloved Nuwaupians, know this. Lameh anun hayu hayin bare nunun anunata takwem un. When we live upon our own land, we are a nation. Tim Zaded, not before. Lameh anun marun hazab nunun anun sayor shabat un. When we practice our own culture, we become a tribe. Tim Zaded, not before. Lameh anun banu mukdash ria nunun leh namaz or damin anunata zaamun. When we build our own sanctuaries for prayer, then we become a religion. Tim Zaded, not before. Lameh anun natuk lahaj nunun anunata shakhas u'un. When we speak our own language, we are a people. Tim Zaded, not before. Lameh anun anud kanas nunun laheh hayu bi tamim after ankum muhda'u. When we have our own canon to live by, then are you all ones who are civil? Tem zadad, not before. Lameh anun hayu laha shalil wu bi wah yakar. Damim anun after yasar. When we live for, of, and by each other, then we are family. Tem zaded, not before. Lameh anun kale namuz adah anun sayor tadu'un. When we all pray together, we become a congregation. Tem zaded, not before. Lameh anun kaleh maruh wah yakhar anun shawal kawan marura. When we all love each other, we will be loved. Tem zaded, not before. Lameh anun amul sayem anun sayor sayem. When we act divine, we become divine. Tem zaded, not before. So, yes, see that? We can't claim these things until we actually doing these things, which is what the master teacher is alluding to. We can't claim these things until we actually doing these things. We can't talk about it. We have to be about it. Here's another one. Mu'abad Shilil Akal al Mawat. It translates slaves of mental death. Ye enkum yakah ata muakadu butem enkum dayar pa sawab. Shawal enkum saduk pa mada'at im mukhzab or bi khalud pa bi khalud wu khalud. You all who are believers, don't you all want the truth? Will you all trust the words of liars forever and ever? Yea, ankum yakat ata muakadu shawal ankum hayu bi tahzub at huma wu waham at bi khaled iyat. O you all who are believers, will you all live by way of their fictions and fantasies for eternity? Ankum akuda yawel chazab twi, jawef yawel miahat twi, wu karen im pa mulbanu, wu muhma'u. You all believe those two lies in those two testaments and the Quran of the whites and the reds. Ankum raguba pa sawab wu pa hakak al or wu pa hakak anin nafash kum lahe tahshush. You all reject the truth and the facts about yourselves for deceptions. Ache wasu shawal ankum bakui muabad utwi akal ali wu khatat ali mukhmem shakhasu. How long will you all remain their slaves mentally and physically, black people? Ache wasu shawal ankum tabu yawilutwi. How long will you all follow behind those two? Yawal at the pa zamut at shalil hakak al hakak at amtwi hayaz tem Dahura, Wahu Dabat, Tim Wahu Tabuth, Tim Wahu Yafeh Layesh Faul Enkum Hate Yaku Humtwi. These are the days of actual facts. They too have not revealed one proof, not one confirmation, not one. So why do you all still obey them too, right? The two religions of the the Bible and the Quran he's talking about. Ankum fa'ulatem yakul yakuha tarak nun shilil hayah Wunuwaup, lakin enkum yakuh pa mudwatwi wu tarak huwa layesh. You all did not obey our own way of life, Wunuwaup. However, you all obey the two devils and his way. Why? Aksor pa hajay shalil Taghul, Akuf, Rayu, Pa Sawa, Bi Pa, Khazab at Im Mukhzab U. Ye Ankum Yakek, Ata Akud, Pa Takhzub at Wu, Wahem at Afuf. Break the spell of ignorance. Stop doubting the truth by way of lies of liars. Oh, you all who are believing the fictions and fantasies, desist. And we do one more. Munfashnus, selfishness. Nakuk kawuna fahus laheh Wajub Kadesh Marah Damam Enkum Leheh Wah Yakhar Ayeshalil Enkum Lakin Nakuk Kader Tim. I was trying to find pure love amongst you all for each other, any of you. However, I could not. You hear what the master just said? He said, I was trying to find pure love amongst you all for each other, any of you. However, I could not. Nakuk hayez yatui leheh rachuk bi shahud enkum pafaf wahu shalil enkum wahi fakor shalil nafashkum. I have come to know by way of watching you all that each one of you all only think of yourselves. Y'all hear that? Let's keep going. Laha and kum the yar at wu nafashnus karutha manin nasu rafuk wu mazuj kare pa mudam usalal. You all owns pleasures, wants, and selfishness inherited from breeding and mating and mixing with the Mordamu, right? The Mukasu he's talking about. Munfashnus huma, their selfishness we now have. Nahamnus huma, their greediness we now have. Tad lul at huma, their perversions we have now. Haseh nakuk lazim chabor, now I must report. This is what the master's telling, the Nathar about us. Shanu nakuk shahudanus wu jaruba, what I witnessed and experienced. Pa nakash shalil ashuk wu tawun bayin enkum, the lack of love and cooperation between you all. What do we say? Love and unity is what's going to get the master teacher out, but we've yet to express the love for one another. That's what it's all about. Even Yeshua, Jesus said that, love one another. And this is the hardest thing. We find it easy to attack each other, very difficult to love one another. And I understand it takes time. We've all been burnt, especially growing up by people that looks like us. So it's very difficult. But we got to remember, we're not in our right mind. And we judge ourselves way too hard because we're not looking at mentally. We're not mentally right as a people because of what we've gone through the last 500 years under racism, white supremacy. We're mentally messed up. You know, so rather than complaining about the adults, the way you fix us is through the children. But we keep allowing each generation of children to be destroyed. So we keep complaining about the adults, not realizing, well, we fix the adults through the children. So we set up programs and systems so that we stop raising degenerate generations of people. But that takes sound right reasoning to figure that one out. That's what it takes. Some sound right reasoning for us to figure out the solution rather than just keep complaining about each other. Talking about I can't trust him, I can't trust her, I can't work with them, I can't, they did this, they still in that, this person's this person's that. Fine. You can't make someone better. But the children are innocent. That's where we should be putting our focus. Each adult has a responsibility to fix themselves. But we have to stop demonizing our people. So the question was, are Nuwaupians living the culture of Wu-Sabat? As we can see, we're not there yet. The key word is we're not there yet. We're getting there. Question. They say people are the power. If so, how so? Answer. All power comes from the people, by the people, which is why world leadership today specializes in manipulating the people that they lead. World leadership today has become masters of mass propaganda and manipulating people to make decisions against their own best interests. We see this play out in America, where people will vote for someone into power that makes policies that benefit their donors and not the people who voted for them, like in the Trump tax policies that favor the rich who don't even need tax breaks. Once the people realize they are the real power, the rich will fall. But this cannot happen until the people rise in consciousness, which is why we teach to never forget that knowledge rules ignorance. Once we as Nuwaupians realize our power, all things will change for the better. If we want to see our rise to power, then we must surrender our personal egos for our collective ego rooted in the cultural ways of natural nature. We teach that we must become one with Pa'ut, right? The creative force. That's the goal. That's supposed to be the goal of all students of Wu-Sabat. Become one with nature again. We taught as Ansars that we must become one with Allah. The same concept. The master teacher introduced us to that concept from the very beginning. One with Allah, which represent natural nature, El Kalum, the all, right? We said El Kalum when we were Muslims. Now we know it's Pa'ut, Pa-Pa'ut, which is what we said in ancient Kemet. The all, absolute nature. Become in tune with it again. Because what? We're children of non-ether. We're of the same creative force. We're supposed to be in harmony with it. Not adverse the way we are today, living European culture that's adverse to nature, thinking that they can conquer nature. But let's keep going. Once our collective consciousness opens, we will then realize we had the power from the start, but did not acknowledge it. I had said many times that Black people must stop looking to get wealthy from this corrupt system and focus on building relations with each other, which is the source of true wealth. People are the power. Us working together is the power. What they call it, human capital today, human resource. That's what the power is. It's with us, but you have to see it, and you have to overcome your phobia of working, that fear that we have of dealing with us, because we've been burnt so many times. But listen, if you claim to be a Nuwaupian and you are about the culture, then we shouldn't have that fear. And if we don't know one another, let's talk to one another. Why no one contacts me? We should be talking to each other, getting to know one another, and then we could probably start doing things. How else are we going to build a relationship? Unless you just like being ruled by the Mukasu. That's where we at, man. Let's keep going. We are the richest people on earth and don't realize it because of self-hate, cultural differences, and massive ignorance about our own history and origins. I keep saying that. We got that big old continent, Africa, that has all the riches on the planet, and they're in total chaos because of all of the freaking ethnic diversity they got going on there. And they don't realize it's destroying them. That's why Congo can't get it together. It's a hot mess with all that wealth in Congo. And six ether forces, all they do is keep that place in chaos. It's been in chaos since the 1800s after the Berlin Conference that Belgium took over to steal the wealth, and now people can't figure it out. They can't figure it out. They claim you got Black politicians on the east coast of Africa helping with the destabilization of Congo. Black devils, again. We're out of our minds. We're out of our minds. But that's why Wu-Sabat is here, to give us the right knowledge. You can't correct a behavior of a person. Behavior behaves adverse because they think adverse. So if you want to correct adverse behavior, you got to correct the think, the thoughts, the consciousness. So we are the richest people on earth and don't realize it because of self-hate, cultural differences, and massive ignorance about our history and origins. The culture of Wu-Sabat is the only cure to the massive ignorance that Black people suffer from worldwide. Wu-Sabat exists to restore your sound right reasonability that we lost 6,000 years ago. Once students master the cultural teachings of Wu-Sabat, our problems will naturally fade like any other fog that is designed to blind your path. You must realize that you bear witness to the solution to all our so-called problems every time you look into the mirror. You are the solution. Look into the mirror and start taking responsibility, Black woman and Black man. Know that what holds us back is us. Because of the spirits of Leviathan, we have not been able to overcome yet. Once we overcome Leviathan within our nature, then all our problems in our environment become easy to solve. This is the key. It's the forces within us. We keep feeding the forces. And that's why I keep talking about it from lecture to lecture. Those who know better, do better, right? Those who know better, do better. Don't claim you know. I know that. I know. No, you don't. If you ain't doing it, you don't know anything. Those who know better, do better. You would know the power of culture, and you'll be looking for like minds to work with. Those who know better, do better. So what does the master say? We're going to go to the Patadak conscious being. Let's go to Patadak called conscious being. Let's see what that says. this right here, page 8. This is Patarat, conscious being. Patarat, conscious being, by the master teacher. Let's see, we'll start at paragraph 31, right? Let's see what paragraph 31 says. He says the unconscious soul, or your ba, right? Because we're not in tune with our own soul force within our own bodies. That's why we're unconscious. It's unconscious. It's a force that's moving through us that we're not even in tune with. So the unconscious soul, or ba, can be stolen to control your or we would say akach, ether, the etheric being from your khatat, your body, while it's still alive, right? So how people sell their soul. We give it away freely. If this happens, the conscious being of the ka, your spirit, right? Your spirit person looks the same, yet the ba, linking them to the akach, the ether, weakens. The sachem, the power, becomes sluggish, and the person is reduced to the image of 6 ether beings. When you lose your soul force, right? He says all kinds of drugs, alcohol, caffeine, or alkaloid in tea and cocoa and coffee, as well as nicotine, all this poisonous oily liquid in tobacco affects you. The misuse of your genitalia fluids, and this is for both male and female. Staying up too late for the melanin works for you at shadow hours. TV lights send out false colors of light, which affects your melanin flow, right? That artificial light that most of us are subject to every day because we're indoors all the freaking time. So we're constantly taking in all this artificial energy, cell phones, wireless frequencies that's moving all over the place. So it affects your melanin, or the melanic, black melanism, melanite, high explosive in your genes, hanging out all hours of the night in red lights also drains your ba and weakens your akak, mukwan, your etheric being, right? Your etheric double that we must learn to be in tune with. You become the living dead like 6 ether beings, and in time lose all ability to remember the past or operate within a subjective state of mind. Under a trance of Rakeh Shalil Noam, the spell of sleep or ignorance of who you really are, as you replace it with his story, a wannabe in the image of the man of sin. If you refer to 2 Thessalonians, talks about it. Zuin, they say, or Zion. The Jews like to talk about. Or Sion, or sin, which is Nanar sin, the son of Enlil, the disagreeable ones, of the Anunnaki. Paragraph 39, to lose your akal, which is your mind, to be out of your own akal, which is your mind, in another mindset, working for them, killing for them, sleeping and mixing with them, or trying to be accepted by them, is to lose your very ba. All those black people who are Republicans, who slander their own race, your Candace Owens and that guy out of Florida, Byron something, all these self-hating Negro bots. It's sad. It's almost an epidemic. I mean, maybe it's good because we get to see so many of our people who are literally brainwashed. They're out of their minds. You all need to be paying attention to all of these black people claim to be Republicans supporting open white supremacists. Trump and all of them. They're open white supremacists, not hidden. anti-black, and you got all these Negroes supporting them. They're out of their mind. That shows you the level of brainwashing that we're under. The spell, they have no soul. You lose your mind, you lose your soul. Your soul is your divine consciousness that connects you to your ancestors. That's what makes the master teacher so great, because he's restoring people's soul, teaching us how to connect to our ancestors and not call on some fake Jesus or some fake Allah that the Mohammedans are talking about, or whatever else, other gods. Our people are becoming Hindus. Our people are becoming Buddhists. They're calling all these other adverse forces to their genetics. You got to call on those you're connected to by genetics. That's how your soul is restored. And then you live according to your genetics. When you live a foreign culture, you surrendered your consciousness. You surrendered your mind, which means you lost your soul. And our people sell their soul each and every day for wealth, fame, you name it, for stupid stuff. Why? Because of our ignorance. Massive ignorance. So he says, what? So to lose your mind, to be out of your mind in another mindset, working for them, killing for them, sleeping and mixing with them, or trying to be accepted by them, is to lose your very ba, your soul, and any chance of a continued anach after this one. So you're cut off on the higher abodes, like the Mukasu. You can't go, into the fourth density, which is the next realm up, where the Nathar are. So the Nathar is operating from the fourth density all the way up to the ninth. You'll be trapped down here, as the master said. You keep reincarnated because you lost your soul. You've given up your connection to your ancestors. You forfeited it. This is what's happening to our people every single day. You cannot trust anything he or she says to you, the Mukasu. They are liars by their very dawah, evil nature. If he advertises that something is good for you, it's not. He sells you sugar, he sells you milk, he sells you animal flesh, and he sells you all kinds of intoxicants, and will tell you they are good for you, or his medicine will help you, which are lies. He will offer you nothing that is good for you, or will help you in any way except to kill your khatat, your body, akal, your mind, and your ba, your soul. It is up to you as Afafre'e Ka'a Africans to know an African's body and eat your bara, the food that's right for us, right? If you become ill by being out of place and eating the wrong things, then you seek out your own kind, who know which herbs will heal, right? Dr. Sabi, we had Layla Africa, both of them transitioned, but you have their acolytes today. Dr. Sabi's children picked up the ball, and you have many brothers and sisters out. Well, Queen Afu is still around. Many brothers and sisters that overstand health. If you have bred with them before you knew Wunuwap, there is no fault as long as they accept Wunuwap and raise the offspring as such. So anyone who has a Mukasu as a mate, which does exist, and the master say you did that before you knew Wunuwap, right? Then the Nathar will accept them. The Mukasu can be restored with Wunuwap, believe it or not, but that's a whole nother discussion. For you as Nagato, hold the original strongest genes, right? So we update their genetics by them being around us. If you mix or are mixed, you are by blood genetics Nagato, unless you make the choice to give your ba, your soul, to them and bring about an end to your seed, your bloodline, right? You must relearn to shafuf, see again. Open your third eye, family. You must relearn to see again, shafuf. You are aboriginals, the first peoples, right? And nothing can change that. Be proud of who you are. Dress it, eat it, speak it, think it, help it, and by doing so, help yourself and your kind, right? That means live the culture, our culture, which is what it's all about. If you are with me, Panabab Yanun, come with me out of the 400 years of mental slavery, right? That we've been conditioned to behave like our slave masters. Nuwaupu, know this, the ethereal planes to which we are connected by way of our glands or seats, right? Our we call it occult nerves in the body and doctrine glands, is the abode of many diverse elements. Each of the 9 etheric states vibrates and subdivides, right? So we're talking about the smat circle. Each realm is of a different vibration. Of course, we're in the 3rd density, so we're in the lowest vibration. So everything from us is vibrating higher up. So they divide. You have different, densities of different vibrations as you move up. Realms within realms. Thoughts take form and imaginations become image, memory, ghosts, elements, atoms, and cells, human out-of-body projections, a wide variety of disincarnate and even non-human entities. Each of these gravitate to those of similar vibratory resonance on the ethereal plane. Like attracts alike. That's why a species has to be in tune with its species, its genetics. That's how nature works, by genetics. A species is one being with many parts, right? So when we say the woolly-haired melanated people, the black race, we're one species, one being, one consciousness, but many parts to us. That's how it works in nature. Overstand, Leviathan teaches you to be an individual, separate yourself. That makes you weak, and that allows you to be possessed and taken advantage of, which is what we see them do to us, because we're all divided. United we stand, divided we fall, right? So it says, with thoughts, forms, and entities of dense and heavy resonance, lower in the field than those of quicker and happier vibrations. So us on the lower fields, we're more dense, right? As you move up, they're vibrating high, so they're less dense. They're more energy based, as opposed to us, all this flesh on us. The master said, because we're in the sun cycle, we supposed to come less dense, which is why we have to change our diet to a very light diet, so we don't have all this weight, because that weight creates gravity. It locks us to this density. So it says, know that every event that takes place in the physical realm is imprinting a thought form onto the ethereal, yet most fade over time. So remember, we're connected to the plane of force. I've talked about this before. Humans aren't able to pick it up because our senses are not developed. So you have your etheric counterpart on the plane of force. I show that every time I do that Doctor Strange. When I show, the Doctor Strange movie with someone going out of body, they're in an etheric body, and then you have their physical body. And so all your actions and thoughts, you're emitting a signature in the etheric realm. And as you know, over time, if it's not a strong thought or energy, it fades, as the master just said. Mortals, that is very physical humans, live in the slowest frequency level in a field of vibration, as it is to be expected. The higher levels in the field of vibration are composed of faster frequencies. We say Tawalat frequencies. Entities that exist within these levels think and act much faster than those in the lower levels or slower planes, which is why those extraterrestrials, they look like, they look like the TV. They look magic. The ships, the crabs go so fast, because they're vibrating at a higher density. So they can drop their vibration down, come into this realm, increase their vibration, and they'll phase into another density, another realm. They have that technology, and that master said we have that ability once we let go of the foreign cultures and embrace our culture, Wu-Sabat. He goes on to say, and their mental states are much more unified in Pa-Pa'at, a group mind called mental. So as you raise in vibrations, the minds unite, the minds collective. You become in tune with your same mental forces that you come from. This is how we create the unity. That's how we know. That's how we know. Nuwaupians are not doing no spiritual work to raise their vibration, because if you really did that, our minds will begin to link up more. But we're not doing that. We're not raising our vibration, and that's keeping us divided. Because he says right here, he says, as one descends through the fields, as we drop down in density, right, to the third density, gravity increases, dragging down thoughts into separateness, allowing for the development of individual consciousness, choice, will, and easy access to demonic forces. So our minds fracture when we come into this realm, and it's separate. So we don't have that group mind anymore, and that opens us up to be possessed by lower forces. That's why Leviathan, the culture of Leviathan, is individualism, to do as thou will. I'm doing me. I got my thing. I'm blah, 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 blah. You hear that every day without people. I'm into this. This is what I do. I'm going here. This is how I feel. That's your way. This is my way. You know how we talk. How we talk. Yeah. Thinking we're saying something smart and intelligent, and don't realize we're highly ignorant, because we don't understand the forces and sciences that's being used against us. We are thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, brainwashed, being raised in Western culture, which is why our people literally thinks backwards and can't figure out why we can't solve none of our problems. So as the master says, right, it opens us up as we're in this realm, these individual consciousness, our choice, our will, and easy access by demonic forces who dwell on a lower level, waiting to step in to their bodies, right? Take over our minds, use our emotions. Then once they cause issues, right? Then they to them cause them to do something or say something wrong. The spirits move on to the next person. That's the inner voice that leads many to their death or fight or even kill. And these spirits walk in. Many fights between lovers are caused by these lower level beings. Many dead who wish to feel life again, being trapped on a lower level, can't move on. This is the disadvantage of our third eye being closed, because we're not able to perceive and see these spirit forces trying to enter our bodies. That's why you can't exist and be spiritually ignorant and naive about your own spiritual nature. It's literally committing suicide. This is why we act so freaking crazy. Guys, this is what's going on when you have the issues with other black people. You're dealing with possessed people. We're all been possessed. That's why we have all these bad, negative behavior patterns. And once your third eye opens, you can see spirits moving through people. I told you before in one of my other lectures, watch that movie Odd Thomas. Odd Thomas. That deals with this subject matter. I always talk about the Denzel Washington movie, right? What's the name of that Denzel Washington movie that dealt with the same subject matter? Fallen. But Odd Thomas. This is the movie right here, Odd Thomas. This dealing with spirit, you know? And it's a really good movie on this particular subject matter, and um, really good movie actually, dealing with spirits, because the leading character in the movie, he was able to see spirits, you know, and this guy right here, he was able to see spirits, which means his third eye was calibrated to, to that density. Mukasu can see, they just see on a lower density here on a third density, where we're able to perceive, on the higher densities, fourth density and up. Unlike, they don't have those same abilities we have. But until we take this seriously about our own spiritual nature, we're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck. There's no way to deal with the situations we're dealing with remaining spiritually ignorant. You just things are constantly shifting from one thing to the next. That's where the cravings are coming from. The addictions, the mindsets, the way people think, all of those are spirits moving through you. And as long as you remain spiritually ignorant, we're just nothing but open bait, open season for these lower beings. That's why the Mukasu goes out their way to tell you that spirits are not real. Unless you listen to the New Age Mukasu, they'll talk about it. But even the New Age Mukasu, like the ones who are into the ETs, they're still pushing white supremacy through through spirituality. And you got Negroes listening to that when they should be over here with us. We're the ones with the right knowledge about our own spiritual nature. No one else can teach us. Question: who are those who want to change for the better? Right? Who are those among us who want to change for the better? That's what it's really about. Like when are Nuwaupians going to get off sitting on the sidelines? When we have to start communicating with each other, building. This isolationism thing we got going on, it's sad. But that's the question. Who are those who want to change for the better? These lectures are about These lectures are about looking for those who want to live the culture of Wu-Sabat. It's about those who understand that culture is the key to liberation. Culture is about acknowledging self-love, self-respect, and doing for self and kind. The creator of a culture is the ruler of that culture, who is the beneficiary of that culture. 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me now? One two 1 2. Can you hear me now? All right. I don't know what happened. Knocked out. Something happened. Knocked out our sound, our flow, messed with our flow. It's all good. We're back. We're back. So we were talking about, this was question number 4. Who are those who want to change for the better, right? That's what we're talking about, right? What Nuwaupian? Who's real? True Nuwaupians. We talked about that before, right? We're looking for the true Nuwaupians, man. We're looking for the true Nuwaupians. Where is that? Where is that? Looking for the true Nuwaupians. The master teacher says. That's what it's about. Who wants to really live the culture? This is why I'm putting so much time, to help explain the culture, because I think that's the challenge, is really understanding the culture and why the culture of Wu-Sabat is so important, and what we've been up against, dealing with the Mukasa and dealing with Leviathan. So it's about the true Nuwaupian. So I repeat, these lectures are about looking for those who want to live the culture of Wu-Sabat. It's about those who understand that culture is the key to liberation, right? Culture is about acknowledging self-love, self-respect, and doing for self and kind. The creator of a culture is the ruler of that culture, who is the beneficiary of that culture. When we lost our original culture is when we lost our power, which eventually caused us to lose our liberation. And the loss of liberation simply means that you have become a slave to adverse forces. Just look at the Black race worldwide asking our adversaries for reparations, only because we live in a subjugated conditions and have not used our own personal power to restore ourselves, right? So that's what I left off. I was talking about, we're only asking for reparations because we haven't fixed ourselves without, I guess, asking. It's our division. That's the bottom line. It's all these cultural philosophies why we can't come together. We have to come under one cultural concept, and that's why we say Wu-Sabat, the original culture. That's the only culture that really is going to give us our powers back, because it's dealing with our own spiritual nature. None of the other cultures teach that. They don't know anything about their own spiritual nature. Plus, their leaders are not spiritual masters like ours. So, I mean, that's just the reality. This is why the job of a Sabian is to do our best to teach, explain, and live our culture, which is the only solution to the miserable conditions that we find ourselves in. Once we become better teachers and stewards of our culture, people will become naturally attracted to us. We got to do better as students of Wu-Sabat, right? So let's go back to scroll. The master talks about that. About, it's our responsibility to educate our people. This right here in the same scroll, the 9. I'll read it in Sabe, then I'll translate it to English. Ensure Wu-Nuwaup, spread and replace. Nuwaupu wa shalil enkum lazim talub pa tarak. Tarak kum. Nuwaupians, each of you must seek the way, you all's own way. Pa sabal layeh Wu-Nuwaup hazab kum wu tarak shalil haya. The path towards Wu-Nuwaup, you all's own culture and way of life. Nuwaupu wa shalil enkum lazim nashor Wu-Nuwaup. Nuwaupians, each of you all must spread Wu-Nuwaup. Y'all hear that? Nuwaupians, each of you all must spread Wu-Nuwaup. Nuwaupu wa shalil enkum lazim wajub pa sayim jawef nafash kum. Nuwaupians, each of you all must find the divine inside of your own self. You see that? You must open your third eye, family. You can only do that by doing the spiritual practices, but develop doing the spiritual work. It's the only way you're going to do that. It's the only way your consciousness is going to increase. Raise your vibrations. Nuwaupu enkum at the pa Nuwaup. Kare pa sawa wu pa hakak at. Nuwaupians, you all are the replacement with the truth and the facts. Nuwaupu enkum kador rawuk pa tahzub at. Pa lafak at. Pa satar at. Wu za'am us. Khazab at. Kare pa hakak al hakak at. Wu Nuwaup. Nuwaupians, you all can clear away the fictions, the fables, the legends, and the religious lies with the actual facts. Wu-Nuwaup. Nuwaupu wahi enkum kador ja'u khaluf en kare pa tapal u shakhas u. Nuwaupians, only you all can make a difference with the world's people. We're the ones with the actual facts, family. We're the ones with the right knowledge. No one else. It's only us. Az kor Nuwaupu enkum at the pa munsar or u impa muntaru. Remember, Nuwaupians, you all are the helpers of the overseers. Pa lahaj lahab panen khale tapal. The cure for the sick, for this sick world. We're the cure. We got to know this, family. Question. Have adversities and living conditions been the cause of our setbacks? Answer. The main attributes of Leviathan that has been some of our greatest roadblocks are the negative mind, the lack of sound right reasoning skills, the lack of willpower to do, and ego seems to be our greatest enemies. We are now living in a sun cycle, which is our time to rise, having right knowledge as our weapon. But yet, we still find ourselves in powerless conditions because of the mental blocks I just stated, right? That negative mind I just said, the lack of our sound right reasoning skills, the way we make decisions is not good. The lack of our willpower, which is why we're not working together. You're not pushing yourself to support, and that ego. Man, that ego is I told you that before, like when I was on the other social platform on what's that platform I talk about? Clubhouse. Dealing with other students, man, and student teachers. That ego, we have it bad. It's bad. It's real bad. Woo, it's real bad. So where I'm at, let's see. So we are now living in a sun cycle, right? Which is our time to rise, having right knowledge as our weapon. But yet, we still find ourselves in powerless conditions because of the mental blocks I just stated. What more can our overseers do for us since we have all we need to restore our greatness? They gave us the right knowledge needed to transform ourselves. It all starts with being a good person each and every day by adhering to the cultural teachings we have been given these past 60 some odd years. We must overcome the negative mind we have been plagued with. We must overcome listening to negative people who claim to be helping when all they do is create more division. We should never be ignorant of our challenges, but negative complaints without solutions are pointless, especially when they are broadcast in public for the world to hear. I ask all who are true Nuwaupians, who among you are willing and ready to do your part in the fight for our liberation? That's the key, family. You got to get in where you fit in. So what does it say about this negative mind stuff? If you go to the breaking the spell scroll, I love that scroll. The master deals with that all the time. Hardcore. This breaking the spell. That breaking the spell came out. This one came out in 2001. Where we at? Yeah, this breaking the spell on the blacks. This is a powerful scroll, family. Everyone should have this scroll. Study it. Know it inside and out. Right here on page 19. Page 19. He's talking about the spell of Leviathan, right? We say Leviathan, or you can say Leviathan. The master says Leviathan. The Mukaso, he says Leviathan, how he pronounces it. That's why I be switching it up, just if anyone's curious why I do that. So he says that this Leviathan, the adverse spell, is also in the atmosphere itself. That those ghost spirit forces is in the atmosphere. Death, that's why they create so much death. Death, it perpetuates that energy. It's in the atmosphere. We're breathing it. That's why the Mukasu, they have to kill to keep that spirit, those forces alive. So the adverse spell is also in the atmosphere itself, because a man, or Leviathan, which is broken down to Levi, which stands for Lord, and Athan, which stands for sin, Nanar's sin, Enlil's son, emanates it, right? So Amam, which we called it in ancient Kemet, is the ghost spell, right? Also gospel, their religion. How people are talking about, I'm singing the gospel, not realizing they're spellbound in themselves. What ignorance our people are. Of spiritual ignorance, that's the key. We're spiritually ignorant, and we suffer from racial blindness for the last 6,000 years. And the only way this opium-like hypnotic spell can be broken is by the right knowledge, the right wisdom, and the right understanding of yourself, your kind, and knowledge of others. The reason the spell has existed for so long is because the spell itself is hypnotic, and you are in a state of amnesia. And although many of you are waking up, you still need to remember or to re-know who you are. This science is called Nuwaupu, taught through the ancient Egyptian order. Only works with nature and this atmosphere of the new sun cycle, right? Because it's heating up. The suns are heating up. That's going to give us power. As the book of Malachi talks about, the sun, S-U-N, comes with healing in its wings. We have to be out in the sun more, family. It help us. Our people be trying to hide from the sun. You got Negroes putting on freaking sunblock. You're melon dominated. You don't need no sun. That's how messed up they got us, man. Putting on sunblock. We gotta block the sun. You ain't gonna block the sun. You need the sun. You need that energy. We've been living in the sun for eons. For eons, we come from the sun. With sunblock. Boy, they got us messed up. But let's keep going. So it only works with nature, right? And its atmosphere of the new sun cycle, the revolutionary cycle, after the year 2000, which was marked by electrical storms on the sun that created bad weather patterns, deformed animals and humans, hailstorms, change in weather patterns, landslides, droughts, sinkholes, buildings, and other structures collapsing. That's that dimensional shift. As the dimensional shift is shifting, that's why we've seen all these destructions. The polar ice caps are melting. All these changes you see in the world, which is why they got the world in chaos. The world is in a state of chaos right now because of the shifting energy, because of the dimensional shift, family. It affects energy. It affects the emotions of humans. That's why death is everywhere. Suicides is prevalent now. It's insane. And it's all because humans are not in tune with these forces. And that's because we're under a spell. We don't even realize these changes are happening. Right? So it says there is earthquakes, floods, insanities in humans, and plane crashes. Racial tensions. See that? Racial tensions are increasing. And more Nuwaupians, blacks, are waking up and becoming aware of their conditions and deforming and not conforming to the devil's ways. Apophy's time is up, and he will fade away, and blacks will give up on the Mukasu's slave masters' religions and return to our Egyptian culture. That's why they put Trump in there, basically, to think that they're going to restore their power. Their time is up. And the master said this book came out in 2002. Prophecies being fulfilled. All these changes that we've gone through in the last 25 years is madness how the world has shifted. For those who are paying attention, if your head is not in the club or some kind of drug, unfortunately, so many of our people are, or they're addicted to sports or whatever the heck their minds are into, our minds are gone. But let's keep going. So the right knowledge, the right wisdom, and the right understanding can only produce right thinking for Nuwaupu. And right thinking causes us to follow the right way to liberty and equality through the right works or through the right words and the right works, right? So we think right, we say the right things, which means we do the right things. That's the whole point of Wu-Sabat, right knowledge. That's why you have to keep studying. That's why I tell you to rewatch these lectures. So you can get the concepts and then you start applying the concepts. Family, we cannot wait it out because you're in the middle of destruction. You can't wait nothing out. We have to act. Everyone has to be responsible. Our people are dying now. There's a brother that just transitioned, a Nuwaupian, a couple of days ago. I was just told by another brother. He just transitioned from a stroke. Nuwaupians should be having no strokes. All that we supposed to know about our health care and our own spiritual nature. It's time to act now. The ships are here. But we miss all those pickups. We don't supposed to be here for the destruction, the cleansing that's taking place right now. All the suffering and death. You can walk out your house and get hit by a car. Do you know how many car crashes all over the globe is? 1.4 million people die every year around the world from car crashes. That should tell you something about cars. You're not supposed to have cars. But again, the devil made evil fair seeming. You don't create something like that creates that level of suffering. They say over 40,000 people in America died from car crashes. Some of the highest car crashes is on the continent because they don't have the same traffic rules and laws, and they don't have the police robbing people, give you tickets and all, because they turned it into a business in this country. Well, it's family. I get it. We, under 400 years of white supremacy, yeah, we are messed up mentally. We're really messed up mentally. But the master was sent to the planet for a reason. You got to remember, we're part of a galactical family. That's what we're not. We're not humans from Earth. We're part of galactic family, and you're also running the chance of reincarnating and being stuck down here. When you have a master teacher, that gives you an opportunity to come out of this dimension where we're stuck in this realm. So we're not supposed to be waiting anything out. Be honest with you, the people who are going to wait it out are the people who are not going to resurrect. They're going to be stuck down here. So that takes us into a whole nother discussion. We've talked about that before, it's in other discussions, I put out. No, that's why the saying says many are called, few are chosen, right? Most people are not, because their consciousness is not there. That's why the master said it was only for an elite few, 144,000 souls. How many Nagato live on this planet? It's over 1 billion of us. What's the percentage of 144,000? It's less than a fraction of percent of our people are designed to resurrect. That's not a big number at all. And even that was hard to get. We don't have nowhere near 144,000 Nuwaupians who are really into the culture and doctrine like that. We have hundreds of thousands of people who read our books, who are familiar with our doctrine, but they ain't trying to live the culture. Only few people are trying to live the culture. I don't know what the number is out of the thousands who are familiar with our doctrine. We have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are familiar with the doctrine, but they can't overcome the spirits within them. So the Nathar, the masters, are looking to pick up individuals who are able to resurrect now. It's not for the whole planet, unfortunately. So this doctrine is supposed to last. All these teachings, all this information we're putting out is supposed to germinate and develop for the next 24,000 years for those who are left down here. And loud room react. I am talking about the real issues that matter. The real issues that matter is the consciousness of our people. Our people, mental consciousness, black men and women. The black man can't complain about the black woman because you let yourself get conquered by the white man who's been abusing your women and children. So the black man shouldn't say nothing, honestly, because we let the white man kick our butts and enslave us and our whole family. And it's the man's responsibility to liberate his people. The white man abuses black women all day, every day, raping her, abusing her, whatever. and we as men allow it. It's just a reality. Our women wouldn't be messed up if they didn't have access to our women, but we willingly give our children to them. We send our daughters to be educated by these demons, and then complain when he turns our women inside out, and why she don't want nothing to do with the black man. That's on us. Any man who can't protect his women, his children, his family, how can he call himself a man? So that's just what it is. But it's the black man's responsibility to protect his family. Never forget that, people. Never forget that. But the black man can't say nothing about the black woman the way we behave. We willingly serve the white man today, voting for white men to rule us, begging them for jobs, begging them for money. Black men can't blame nobody but themselves. We let them come into Africa. We let them subdue us in Africa. We let them take over. That's on us. That's on black men. Plain and simple. Black man can't. White man is doing what he does by nature. They're a killer. They're a warrior race of people. That's on us not to know better. It really is. We've been dealing with them for 6,000 years. For us not to know who we're dealing with. When ancient Egypt was conquered and subdued by the Greeks, we didn't learn then. And from the Greeks, then came the Romans. We didn't learn then, really. That's on us, and it's because the continent is so damn divided. You got 1,001 tribes with 1,001 languages. You got all these languages. There's no unity. So we were easy targets. So our job is to fix all of that, and you can only fix the issue with the black woman and the black man through education, raising our consciousness, change the mind, change the behavior, change the mind, change the behavior. Family, give our people the right knowledge, the right way to go, and they'll change their behavior. Our behavior is because of the way we think. Our behavior is because of how you think. You do what you think. You behave how you think. And how you think comes from the environment you are around. If you're in a toxic environment, you're going to do toxic things. If you're in a harmonious environment, you'll do harmonious things. That's just science. That's just basic reality. And we've been in a toxic environment under racism, white supremacy for 500 freaking years. So it's designed to make us insane the way we are now. But the good news is right knowledge is here. Yes, the whole world is possessed with the spirits of Leviathan. The whole world. The good news is we're the ones with the right knowledge explaining all these issues. That's the good news that we should be, thankful for, that we have all this knowledge so that, again, right knowledge, right behavior. But the problem with our people is you surrendered your soul, which is your emotions. We use all our emotions to feed our negative behavior. You have to take control of your emotions. Emotions, what? Energy and motion. Energy, the energies that move or govern your behavior. You have to get in control of that. And that's through doing spiritual work, meditation, concentration exercises, chanting, the prayer, eating right. All of these things, the spiritual practices we teach is designed to get you in control of this emotional energy that you are allowing to control you. And so we live the heart center down. You have to invert your heart, and you got to move your heart energy upwards, not downwards. The way we live now, what they call the lower nature, you live from your heart, which is your emotion center, and down. So it goes from the heart to the stomach, from the stomach to your sexual organs, and to your buttocks. That's how we're living. We're using all of those lower energies. And you're supposed to invert the heart going up. So from the heart up to the throat, which is the voice box, which is why we're supposed to change our language so we can tap into the tones, the natural tones that will restore you. So it goes from the heart to the throat, from the throat to the nose. Proper breathing, rhythmic breathing will enhance your spiritual energy and power. And then you go from the nose to the forehead. The forehead is the pituitary gland, which releases your right knowledge. Is being released. That gland is stimulated because of the pineal gland is the head, the crown chakra. Excuse me. Once that's stimulated, that's what harness right knowledge information. Your pineal gland, once it's calibrated, you can now communicate with your ancestors. And then you release it through your third eye, which is where your pituitary gland. So you have to invert your heart. The master puts that, I have it in, one of the books. The invert the heart, family. Move the heart upside down, going up. The inner heart, dealing with the heart center. You have to get control of your own emotional energies. That's how you restore your soul. Your soul is your emotions. You surrender it every single day when you give in to your lower nature. And it's what's cutting us all off from the higher realms. So restore your soul. Yes, you have to reverse the polarity. Humans are operating in a negative polarity. You're constantly releasing all of your energy, and you're not harnessing your energy to renew your cells. The mitochondria in your cells, right? That we get from our mother. That's what it gives energy to the cells. Our cells are constantly being depleted, which is why we keep aging. You can reverse aging by learning to restore or renew the energy in the cell through learning to harness sachem, ether energy, or as the Chinese call it, chi, or the Hindus call it prana. You have those powers as melanated people, but we're using our powers to feed this beast. That's why right knowledge is here. But the master can't change you. No one can change you. Only you can change you. You are the solution to your own problems by looking in the mirror. You're the solution to your own problems by looking in the mirror. Anyone who really dedicates themselves for 9 months of spiritual work can make the transition. What's hard on us is the distraction. That's what's been my, block is distractions. Not to mention, now granted, you have to comprehend the doctrine. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing to help you guys. It took me all these years to understand all this stuff I'm telling y'all. So again, if you're new in this doctrine, no, you're not going to comprehend none of the stuff I'm saying without someone like me explaining what this stuff means. So you guys have the advantage of having someone who has experience of studying this doctrine for as long as I have to explain what these books actually mean to help you. But only you can fix you. All I can do is my little part the best I can. But you have the power. Y'all have the power. You just have to use it. Loud Room Reacts. This is a room where we focus on the positive mind. We don't focus on any negativity. We focus on the positive mind. We don't focus on any negativity. So, in fact, let me finish reading this and then we're going to close it out. Because I was reading from the Breaking the Spell scroll. We're going to deal with this negativity. Our people are obsessed with the negative mind. Those are 62 spirits moving through you. When your mind, all you look at is the negative side of things. That's from us being around these demons constantly. We think like them now. And how you think, negative is an energy. That's what you'll attract. That's all you'll see in life. Positivity is an energy. It's a frequency. Negativity is an energy. It's a frequency. And our bodies are energy. And so if you're focused on negative energy, it creates a magnetic field, attraction, and that's what you'll perceive. That's why they specialize in keeping us in negative conditions so that we always think negative and we always attacking one another. That's the sickness that we suffer from. Negroes constantly attacking one another. Melvin, don't fall for that trap. Because it's designed, negative comments are designed to pull the mind. We have to overcome all of those, all that kind of thinking. So Loud Room React, be positive, focus on positive, focus on the things that we all, because we all of us are striving. So we don't need to point out any issues you think someone has. It's pointless. Keep that to yourself. So question, what is keeping you spellbound? Y'all need to listen to this, especially you, Loud Room React. What is keeping our people under the spell? Part of the devil's evil spell that has a hold on you are negative spirit forces, 6 ether forces of sympathy, pity, apathy, jealousy, discontentment, self-defeat, and inferiority complexes. We call it white magic. These feelings, which are within the hearts and minds of blacks, were sent to them by Leviathan. This means, although those negative spirit forces of white magic are within many of blacks' captives, they work against us because they are allies of the captor, the Mukasu. They really think they can trust the Mukasu, our people, right? The ghost man. We trust in him. Although many captives, Negro, which stands for necro, which means dead, are willing helpers and allies of these 6 ether forces. You see that I was just talking about those so-called black Republicans, how they willingly serve white supremacy. They're out of their minds. They're possessed. They're willing helpers of 6 ether forces. They will only be used by this force for those that follow the white ghost image, are compelled to do the very things that are preventing their rise from their bondage. It is a very depressive position for a race of people to be in, having forces within themselves constantly working against them. This force is called Ra'ah in the Hebrew Bible or Torah, the disagreeable or negative side of will, not to be mistaken for the Egyptian deity of Re or Ra. Two different tones, family. Our own, which is our force, Re'eh or Ra, not Ra'ah. That's a different tone, different word. They tried to deceive you, right, with those words also. The words look alike, but that is the position of the oppressed. And the only way to destroy the negative forces that maintain that position is to destroy the negativity and the ignorance that those forces live and strive on, such as bright light and white magic. Now, the acceptance of right knowledge is the solution, which leads to right thinking. And right thinking leads to right action and breaking away from their fire forces. Blacks or the Nuwaupu do not just read these scrolls and other right knowledge scrolls, but study them. Also, because these scrolls are dedicated and designed to offset and help destroy the negative Negro slave minds amongst us. The spell of ignorance is taught to us by the slave master with his white magic, using his religions of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Also through other white religions of a spook or spirit or ghost worship, which is their spirit forces and not ours. Question, tell me more about right knowledge. Answer, right knowledge organizes and unifies the minds of Nuwaupians, and others individually and collectively. If knowledge is not to be confusing and thereby effective, it must be in sequence. Knowledge received must be in an organized sequence in order to put the mind in order and unity. One purpose of these scrolls is to help organize and put the minds of Nuwaupu in unity and order enough to qualify for your effective spiritual science called Nuwaupu, which is black magic for black people. It will clear the fog and your single eye will reopen. So if you really are true to the culture and you do the spiritual work, your third eye will open. It will reopen, family. If you took this seriously. Question, what is Negro mentality? Answer, Negro mentality is negative mentality, a slave mentality. The very word is necro, which means dead, or negro, a nagra, omega, means death, black death. A Negro negative or slave mind is one regardless of how free you think you are. If you don't take control of your life, you are dead. One who is in mental slavery knows no more or little more than what the Mukasu has written for public reading and spoken for public hearing. The Negro mentality knows no more or little more than what the Mukasu and their Negro helpers have taught. This is what I call a synthetic education, which breeds a synthetic mind. And I'll leave it at that right there. You know, which is why we're so messed up mentally, because we're out of our minds and we're so freaking negative. We're obsessed with negativity, always talking about each other. We're sick people right now. All right, loud room react. I'm gonna expel you if you maintain a negative mindset, because I've noticed that's a trait with you. You say adverse things. Anyone who want to reach out to me, you definitely can email me, family. My email is nupumember@outlook.com. nupumember@outlook.com. Definitely email. Anyone want to reach out? So that's what's up. Reach out. We need everybody to support. Before I close out, we need everyone to support the social media project, the website nuwaupu.org. Become a member. I always tell you all, it won't grow unless y'all support it. Our people, we don't understand the power of social media. We should, because we're always on it. But we keep feeding their force and giving them power and strength and money and making them powerful and rich. And they use all our social data to find better ways to manipulate us for mind control. We need our own platforms. And I don't know why everyone isn't supporting someone like me, who's a freaking Nuwaupian. We should have somebody who has a business like this with right knowledge, and not use information to manipulate our people, which is what they're using all this social media crap that we're on. We're on all these different platforms controlled by them, and what they call it data mining. All they're doing is harvesting as much information about us as they can. And and now when react, we don't debate. We can have discussions. This is a platform for us to have intelligent discussions, but there's no point for debating. That's a waste of time, and all it does is breeds negativity. It's pointless. I don't have time to be complaining about other Black organizations. It's pointless. It's not helping us at all. Our issue is racism, white supremacy, global racism, white supremacy, where the Mukasu are working day and night to maintain global domination over us. That's the issue. And in our divisions, it prevents us from being able to overcome their domination. In this day and time, none of us should be in America. Look what's going on in this country with the rise of white supremacy through the leadership. No one, if we're in our right mind, we would be nowhere near these people. Nowhere near them. They want their white country, let them have it. We have plenty of places we can be. But because we don't love ourselves and we don't know ourselves, we rather stay under oppressive conditions rather than solving problems for ourselves. And so that's why we exist with right knowledge. To educate our people, we got to overcome the petty differences that we have and focus on reality, which is absolute nature. That's what's real. And get rid of any spookism, made up fairy tale stuff that doesn't solve any of our problems. Africa is the only solution outside of the Caribbean islands that we have. We have Haiti, we have Barbados, we have Trinidad, we have Jamaica, but our people minds in those places are mentally dead. That's why those countries are a hot mess, including Africa. Their minds are dead. They lost their reasonability. They don't know how to run a nation anymore because they're copying the European, thinking that their culture will work for them, and it doesn't. European culture is chaos culture, and it only works for them and only them. Our people will remain in chaos as long as we are copying the children of chaos. Plain and simple. Those countries are ran by greedy, ignorant people who abuse themselves and their own people. And only right knowledge can fix their consciousness. So, with that being said, that was a lot. I didn't get to finish, but we covered a lot. Study, take your time, family, right? Study, promote, let people know what we're doing. Let people know the power of Wu-Sabat. Let people know this is the solution. And you are the solution. Look in the mirror. Trust in yourself. Fix yourself. And overcome your adversities. You only you have the power to fix yourself. The bad habits you have. Overcome your bad habits. Overcome your bad habits. And you'll become a better person for yourself and your kind. With that being said, why do, Moisar?